it's Molly here at the Boonville Library. I'm here with a new Young Adult First Chapter Friday. So today I have the book Road of the Lost by Mavisa Assad to share with you. We got this book in October of 2023. I read it myself and I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to talk about this book a little bit with you guys. So the themes in this book are magic, fae, fantasy, high fantasy, because it's a whole new world that's been created with different creatures. So there's just a lot of world building involved. It's such a good read. So I will go ahead and read the synopsis to you, and then we'll jump into the first chapter of the book, and then we'll talk a little bit about the reviews that I found on Goodreads and what some authors are saying, or what some other readers are saying about the book. So here is the synopsis. Croy is a brownie, glamored to be invisible to humans. Her life in the wild forest is ordinary and her magic is weak, until the day that her guardian gives Croy a book about magic from the other world, the world of the higher fae. Croy wakes the next morning with something pulling at her core, summoning her to the other world. It's a spell she cannot control or break. Forced to leave her home, Croy begins a journey full of surprises and dangers. For Croy is not a brownie at all, but another creature entirely, enchanted to forget her true heritage. As Croy ventures beyond the forest, her brownie glamour begins to shift and change. Who is she really? Who is summoning her? And what do they want? Croy will need every ounce of her newfound magic and her courage as she travels a treacherous path to find her true self and the place in the other world where she belongs. Okay, so let's go ahead and read the first chapter. And I also want to point out there's a cast of characters list. It's really great to have this, especially whenever the characters' names are either just hard to pronounce, hard to remember. So yeah, and it also has the species of each character. So there's a pixie, there's a dryad, there's a fae, a catkin, a brownie. So that's really cool too. All right, chapter 1. A hint of red, an alluring curve, the anticipation of sweetness. The apple promises and Croy falls, eyes wide open and hand grasping. The fruit seller has no idea that one of his apples has gone missing. He's far too busy hawking his wares to notice. Besides, it wouldn't matter even if he did. He can't see her nor the apple she's currently holding. Folding herself under his cart, Croy settles in the shadows to enjoy the fruit as it should be enjoyed, with quick, crisp bites and spurts of juice dribbling down her chin. The apple is gone too soon, and Croy emerges from under her cart, looking at the other apples, wondering if she should take another one. She decides against it, however, when she looks around the market. There are too many other things to taste here. She takes a step and then skips back, narrowly avoiding a dirty little human. There are too many in the market. It is their forest, after all. Croy is not supposed to be here in this sticky, stinky collection of moving humans. The rich ones try to mask their stench with perfumes. They sacrifice flowers and bees mourn. The poor ones cannot afford the floral sacrifices, so theirs, at least, is an honest stink. Across from the fruit seller is an old woman with far too many toffee sticks. Out of the goodness of her heart, Croy eases her burden. The merchant beside the bakery that sells honey buns has colorful scarves on display. Croy takes a few and thanks him, but he can't hear her, so he doesn't respond. She doesn't mind his rudeness. The market is her favorite place in the human city. Set up by the big gates that lead out, it is always full of sounds, smells, and colors. The smells are not always pleasant, but the colors frequently dance in the sunshine. Humans set up shop in any space they can find. Sometimes they quarrel in loud, ugly voices. Croy learns the language they speak by studying the shapes of their mouths make as they throw words at each other. She's been frequenting the human city for 13 of the almost 17 years she has been alive. Not once have the humans seen her walking among them. The animals are much more sensitive to her presence. A cat meows from her perch on a wooden fence when Croy passes it. She responds to it with a hiss. Meows don't make music for her. The hag told Croy this morning that she is no longer allowed to visit the human city. She stood up tall, pretending to be a mountain, and said in her grandest voice, You cannot control Croy. A little brownie will be discovered much too quickly. It isn't safe here. You cannot, Croy. I've been there many times before, down the river path, through the hole in the wall, and into the grounds of the castle. The humans never see me. Croy was mutinous. You must stop now, the hag commanded. She looked at Croy with her stormy eyes, and Croy became a boat about to be capsized. Why? Croy wailed. No questions, the hag said, and turned away. She says not to ask questions, but every time Croy glimpses herself in the mirror, all she sees are questions. Her body makes no sense to her at all. Her fingers, arms, and shoulders are whys. Her torso and legs are hows, and her head is a who. Her body is a billion questions she keeps asking the universe. So far, it hasn't replied. She follows a little human boy through myriad alleyways to a shabby house near the city wall, not far from the market. She peeks through the open door of the house and sees him clamber onto the lap of a human woman sitting on a chair. She is a mother. Humans have them. They hold, they kiss, and they love. Brownies don't. Well, this brownie doesn't. She has a hag who is part stone, part memory, and part tree. The hag doesn't hold, doesn't kiss, and she most certainly doesn't love. The hag teaches and expects Croy to learn. She commands and knows Croy will obey. The sun climbs the sky and the day gets hotter. Croy leaves the human child to his business and returns to the market where she continues collecting various tasties. But the market gets too crowded, so she abandons it and follows the main avenue deeper into the human city. As she moves away from the city gates, the houses get bigger and bigger until she reaches the castle, which is the biggest of them all. Croy has glimpsed the king and the queen here and there on her meanderings through the castle grounds, but only once has she seen them make their way through the city with white handkerchiefs pressed to their noses as if they don't like the stink. The city is surrounded by a gray wall that keeps humans within the wild forest where Croy lives, without. Humans don't venture into the forest. The hag says they're not allowed. The hag doesn't ever visit the human city. Perhaps it is beneath her dignity to go through the little hole in the wall. Well, Croy doesn't think the hag would fit, even if she tried. The city has a rapid pulse. Everyone here is in a frenzy to breathe. To live, to couple, and to gobble. A maelstrom of emotions eddy in the air. Hunger, greed, and lust are more common than others. What would it be like to live here forever, trapped within the metal and the stone, captive to decay? Croy stands against a fence and watches human children shrinking with laughter as they play a game of chance by the road. Would the people here accept her? Would she want them to? After a minute or so, she starts walking and doesn't stop until she reaches the castle. As usual, the entrance is crowded. Guards stand in front of the horde of people seeking audience with the king. There's no point in waiting. People won't make way for Croy no matter how long she waits. She shoves her way through the crowd, stepping on feet and pinching any flesh available. Humans react quite quickly to pain. Once she has crossed the sea of people, Croy starts running. She runs until there's no breath in her. She runs until she can breathe again, slipping into the inner grounds of the castle. She walks unseen through hallways and outer corridors until she reaches her destination, a forgotten courtyard in an older part of the castle. The place usually sees very few visitors, so the air is still dark and dank here. A sad fountain spews up rusty water in the middle of the courtyard while a few straggly trees warily lift their branches in obeisance to the sky. Croy is not concerned with the dilapidated state of the courtyard. Her attention is on the stone maid half hidden behind the tree on the right. The stone maid is frozen mid-motion. Both hands have lifted her voluminous skirts to aid her running. One foot is arched on the ground while the other is lifted in a step. She's looking back, her features petrified in an expression of anguish. Croy was 6 when she crawled through the hole in the city wall and into the castle grounds for the first time. As soon as she got to her feet and regained her bearings, she found herself pulled forward entirely against her will. She walked without knowing where she was going until she ended up in this courtyard in front of the stone maid. At first she was confused, not knowing why she called to this place. Then she looked into the stone maid's eyes and met a horrific truth there. Someone, alive and aware, looked at her through the stone maid's blank eyes. Croy immediately returned to the wild forest, found the hag, and demanded she help the stone maid. The hag refused, saying that some magic was beyond her. Croy, teary and apologetic, returned to the human city, clutched the stone maid's hand, and cried. It was at that moment that Croy first felt warmth in her hands. Though the stone maiden can't speak using words, she makes herself clear by warming Croy's hands. The stone maid became Croy's only friend, a confidant, and someone to love. Croy, who is lacking in people, human or kin, adopted her. She tells the stone maid all her secrets, all of her complaints, and all the dreams she is brewing for the future. Of course, she hasn't stopped trying to break the curse on the stone maid, but she has even less magic than the hag. Croy hasn't given up, however. Someone out there will know how to free the stone maid. I'm going to go ahead and stop there. It's a pretty long first chapter, but I want to stop there just because I feel that the end of that paragraph is kind of foreshadowing in a way. We know that she isn't really a brownie. She's been glamored. We know that. And she's been pulled different directions. She doesn't know why. So it's almost like Croy is kind of trapped herself. She's trapped in this world that she's been trying to navigate since she was 6 years old, being a creature that little does she know she isn't really that creature. So to say that someone will free the stone maid and she will be free, Croy hasn't given up. It's almost like maybe Croy will be free of this kind of internal prison that she's in herself. She has no love. She's just stuck in this world of this creation. And she doesn't know why. So, so she has to free herself too in that way. So, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and stop there with the first chapter. I think that gives you a pretty good idea of where this story is going. It's funny. I will tell you there's a lot of humor in the story. There's sadness, there's happiness, there's love. It's just a really, really great story. So I'll talk about what Goodreads has to say about this book online. So it has an average of 3.7 stars. I think I gave it 4.5 stars myself. There was just nothing too major that I didn't really like. I just felt that the story could have gone, I don't know, it just could have gone a little smoother in some places. But that's just me. That's just me being picky. But ultimately, I really, really, really enjoyed it. So like I said, the themes involved obviously fantasy, fae, high fantasy, like we said. And there's 352 pages. A lot of people don't care about the page numbers as long as it's a good read. But I like to see, just because if I want to read a quick read or I'm just not really feeling a really big book, then I like to know that. It was published again in October of 2023, specifically October 17th. Some reviews that were given, I have just a few little pieces of some reviews of other readers that said that it's utterly gorgeous, magical, young adult fantasy with an intense sense of wonder. Another reader said that Road of the Lost grabbed me by the collar and dragged me into a world of fae, pixies, and brownies. And I like that description. Now, the age range for this book, usually young adult is for ages 12 to 18, and that is the case for a lot of young adult books. However, I found that Amazon and Barnes & Noble and just other reviews online are starting to give a more specific age recommendation. So for this book, it's recommended for 13 or 14 plus, and that's just because there's some gore, violence, death, kidnapping, and illness. I can tell you from reading it that I didn't really find anything super graphic aside from just the creepy. I mean, if you're familiar with books about fae, a lot of times they can be a little bit dark, just where the goriness is concerned. But it's, nothing super bad that I really found myself. So that's why that has been given that recommendation for the age range. So I hope that you guys will enjoy this book if you decide to read it. I hope that you are going to be interested in this book. And if you would like this book here at the library, if you have a library card, you can give us a call, 812-897-1500. Just ask that you would like to place a hold on a book. And the title again is Road of the Lost by Mafisa Assad. So if you're interested in that book, please give us a call. I'll be back with another First Chapter Friday, another day. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.